What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Talkin Sports with Jake. Hope we're all doing well. Let's start with the NHL playoff game from last night. Western Conference Finals. Edmonton Oilers beat the Dallas Stars 4-1 in Game 4. Took a 3-1 series lead, and they are one win away from the Cup final. Of course, they beat Dallas last year in the Western Conference Finals and are on the verge of doing it again. I thought Dallas would nick them this time. I thought their team was a little better. I thought the addition of Mikko Rantanen would put them over the top, but it's not. This Edmonton team is really resilient. They are really good. Their goaltending has held up. Stuart Skinner has played really well. And the Edmonton Oilers are one win away from their second straight Cup final appearance. Obviously a great team. They do lose Zach Hyman, who's a great player, one of their best players, one of the better players in the league. Looks like he's out for the rest of the postseason. It's a tough loss. He's a great, obviously a top player offensively. He also was very physical. He's brought some physicality in this postseason. So, you should definitely still be able to win this series against Dallas with a 3-1 lead. However, against Florida, that could prove tough. I know they may be getting Matthias Ekholm, one of their best defensemen, back. He's been hurt. That'll help you on the back end. Offensively, how they'll make up for his production, I can imagine Corey Perry probably gets a promotion when it comes to the line. Obviously, a guy who, even though he's 40 years old, been around a long time. He's played in, what is this? He's played in so many Cup finals. He's lost a lot of them, but he's played in so many playoff games. He's still a decent goal scorer, so they'll probably move him up, and they'll probably move some things around. But looks like he's hurt, but Oilers go up 3-1 in the Western Conference Finals with Dallas Stars. And Florida looks to finish off Carolina Hurricanes tonight. They're on TNT at 8 o'clock tonight. Game 5. Florida, of course, leading 3-1 in the Eastern Conference Finals. NBA Eastern Conference Finals. Indiana Pacers defeat the New York Knicks last night, 130-121. Tyrese Halliburton with a historic game, 32, 12, and 15. He's the third player ever, I think, or the first. He set a bunch of records. I think he's the first player in NBA history in the playoffs to have at least 30 points and no turnovers. He's the third player besides Jokic and Oscar Robertson to have at least 30, 10, and 15 in a playoff game. I think he's the first player in NBA history to have a 30-point or just a triple-double in general without having a turnover. That guy is absolutely insane. He right now is at least the third or fourth best player in the playoffs to me. You got when it comes to guys left, he's probably better than Jalen Brunson right now. I hate to say it, but he just might be. And then the only other guys that can hold a candle are probably Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He's certainly been better than Anthony Edwards in the conference finals. Yeah, I would argue across the entire postseason. You could argue he's the best player, and he's been the best player of this postseason. That guy has been on another level. And the frustrating thing as a Knicks fan is us Knicks fans talked a lot of crap. Maybe not me, because I knew this would be a really, really hard series, but a lot of them were saying, oh, it took you 7 games last year when we had a ton of injuries. It was a hospital team, and it still took you 7 games. We're definitely going to beat you. And they've come out like this to blow a 14-point lead in the last 3 minutes of Game 1. You come out sluggish in Game 2. You lose both games at home. You come from behind and win Game 3. Kind of a weird game when Brunson didn't show up, was in foul trouble. Towns was a ghost for 3 quarters. He was in foul trouble, but comes up big in the 4th quarter. And last night, Brunson played very well. He had 31 points, but Mikal Bridges was absolutely horrible. He had 1 or 2 threes late in the 4th quarter. That's about it. OG Anunoby, like Mikal, made an impact defensively to an extent, but was just so bad offensively. Towns didn't do enough. Mitchell Robinson was a ghost. Deuce didn't do a whole lot. He did try playing Durant and Landry Shamet for a second straight game. They didn't make enough of an impact, and it simply just wasn't enough. And this team isn't good enough. It's just not. Brunson's an amazing player. Other than that, you got Towns, who's not really number 2. He's too soft. Doesn't play any defense. Bridges, very good defender, but is not consistent enough from the 3-point line. He doesn't go to the free throw line. Doesn't have a great ability to take the ball to the basket. OG Anunoby, again, great defensive player, but is too inconsistent offensively. Other than that, there isn't a whole lot there. I mean, Hart, who I like a lot, I think he's a great player, great defender, kind of does it all for them. He has been absolutely terrible in this series. He's been a turnover machine, not scoring, which is kind of a norm anyway, but just also hasn't been great defensively. He has been absolutely terrible. I don't know what's going on with him, and they just don't have enough role players. I mean, I like Deuce McBride, and he overall has been good, but it's not enough. And Mitchell Robinson isn't reliable enough. 1 minute he's playing elite defense on the whole team. He's grabbing offensive rebounds. And his free throws have gotten better in the second half of this postseason run, I would say. But and in the next minute, the guy's liability, and it's just a major problem. And DeLon Wright he just isn't very good. Shamma hit 1 3 last night. That's about all he did. And Tibbs refused to play PJ Tucker, who's had on the roster for a couple of months now. A guy he's at the very end of his career, but he's a guy who can play defense. You're getting lit up last night by the Pacers. I would have thrown him in there, see if he can get you some stops. I mean, he's always been a corner specialist. I think his 3-point shot is definitely gone in the twilight years of his career here the last couple of years. But try and throw him out there. You might as well, and just Tibbs won't do it. I don't know why Indiana leads 3-1, and I expect them to finish off the series sooner rather than later. Pacers take Game 4 in Indiana, 130 to 121. Game 5 will go back to the Garden. Before that, tonight is Game 5 of the Western Conference Finals between the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Oklahoma City Thunder. The Thunder have a chance to close out the Minnesota Timberwolves and advance to the NBA Finals as they lead 3-1. With that, we're going to continue my NBA offseason preview series. 2 teams again, as always. The first team I'm going to cover today is the Houston Rockets. So the Rockets, a bit of a surprise here, win 50-plus game, and end up with the 2 seed in the West. However, you lose in 7 games in the first round to the Golden State Warriors. Went down 3-1, almost blow it, almost came all the way back, but weren't quite able to win Game 7. There's been a lot of talk about Jalen Green, what I do with him. Been a lot of trade talk. I do think that is the right move. I guess he's only 22 years old, but his shot selection is regularly bad. I don't think he fits next to Amen Thompson, who I think is a budding star. Amen's an incredible defender. His offensive game has gotten better, got a lot better this year. Decent scorer, 3-point shots still coming along, but it's gotten better. This is a guy who I think is only going to get better. He is still also only 22 years old. If he has a legit 3-point shot, he may be first team All-NBA. I'm not going to lie. That guy is absolutely incredible, extremely talented. I don't think Green fits next to him very well. His shot selection is so bad. And, he's a talented offensive player. I mean, everyone in the NBA is talented. No, I used to use that word a lot, but he's a talented offensive player. He does have the ability to score in bunches, but he doesn't play any defense. He's a good athlete. I wouldn't say he's a great athlete. He's not a good passer, and is he a good shooter? I mean, if he gets hot, obviously he's a guy that can score in bunches, like I just said. But his shot selection is just beyond awful. It's terrible, and I do think they should move on. They have a lot of pieces on this team. Van Vliet's got a team option for $44.8 million. We'll see what they do with that. Veteran point guard. He's a good player, good shooter, can score, decent defender. Obviously won a championship in Toronto. And then we got Amen Thompson. Well, I think is a budding star. A lot of young talent on this team. You have a really good young big man in Alfred Sengun, who's a great player. Reminds me a lot of Pau Gasol. I mentioned Amen Thompson there, obviously. Jabari Smith's another former high draft pick you have. We haven't seen a whole lot from yet, but still only 21 years old. It makes me feel old that there's NBA players that are younger than me. They're impactful players. Amen Thompson's a year younger than me. And I just said that he could be an All-NBA guy in a couple of years, so that's crazy. Reed Shepard, he took 3rd overall this year. Didn't have a great rookie year. We spent time in the G League, but he's 20 freaking years old. Still really young. You have some veteran role players on the squad. I mean, Tony Eason's is only 23, but he's the guy you have. Jock Landale's not a bad backup big. You got Steven Adams, afraid if he comes back, he's a solid big man, been around for a long time. Dylan Brooks, who, not everyone's favorite player. And obviously talks a little bit too much for a guy who's not scoring a whole lot, but he's a really good defensive player. Not a bad guy to have on your bench. So overall, this is not a bad team. You drafted Kane Whitmore 2 years ago. He's still 20 years old. So this team still has a really good young core. However, people got to remember, everyone's always like, oh, you keep building with young pieces. The windows in the NBA, they're really small with the new CBA rules, with the second apron. So you got to capitalize. So if I'm Houston, I think I have a all-star big in Alfred Sengun. I have a potential budding star in Amen Thompson. I got some complementary pieces like Fred VanVleet. Maybe as a bench piece, you got Dylan Brooks. I have VanVleet possibly for at least another year. You have some other great, you have some young players who we're kind of still waiting on, Jabari Smith and Cam Whitmore. You have some other role guys like Jock Landale, Reed Shepard's another young guy you're still waiting on. By the way, your free agents are Steven Adams, Jeff Green, Jay Sean Tate are your 3 key free agents. And then as for money, not a ton. You only have $16.5 million before that second apron. Keep in mind, you have VanVleet making almost $45 million next year. And then you got, obviously, Jalen Green is due $33.3 million. And then $36 million and $36 million player option. So I would move him now. I'm not sure what you'd get for him. But I would try and get, like, a legit small forward. They don't have a legit small forward. It depends what you classify Amen Thompson as. He's kind of one of those positionless guys, but he's a really, really good player, and I think the Rockets should make a big move. I don't hate them going after Kevin Durant. You had the picks, you had the young pieces. He only come for 2 years. Bring him in, put him next to Sengun and Amen Thompson, and see what happens. So that's what I would do if I was the Houston Rockets. The next team I'm going to cover today is the Boston Celtics. So Boston, of course, coming off a championship last year. You lose to the New York Knicks in 6 games in the second round. You lose Jason Tatum, your best player, one of the league stars, to a torn Achilles. There's a chance he does not play at all next year. There's rumors their team's getting broken up, even if they won a championship this year. So what do you do? Obviously, this championship team from the year ago is all still intact. Your only true key free agent you have is Al Horford, and unless he retires, I don't see why he wouldn't re-sign a 1-year deal until he retires. You are dead into the luxury tax. You're almost $20 million over the second apron. So after losing the second round, you're probably going to have to move at least 1 or 2 guys. I think Kristaps Porzingis is a complete goner. He's due $30.7 million this year. When he's been on the court the last 2 years for the Celtics, he's been extremely impactful when it comes to shooting the ball and what he's done defensively for them at the center spot, but he's just never healthy. He obviously had that weird illness this year that kind of cost him a lot of time. He wasn't really himself when he was on the court, but he's only got 1 more year left on this deal. The guy's never on the court. He's 29 years old. I think he's going to get moved. And then I could see Sam Hauser getting you. I know he's not making a ton of money. No, his 4-year extension kicks in this upcoming offseason. It's only like $45 million total $1 million. He's not the most money he's gonna make will be in the last year of the deal when he makes $12.4 million. So that's a very team-friendly contract. He's still 27. However, you drafted Baber Schreiber in the first round this past year. He's only 24 years old. To me, he's basically the same player as Sam Hauser. Really good three-point shooter, can defend a little bit. Both of them, to me, are like Richmond's Dante DiVincenzo to me. So I just think if you have, he's basically the same exact player. He's 3 years younger, and he's cheaper. It doesn't really make sense to keep Hauser on the roster. Again, if you weren't in such a cap crunch, you might as well keep Sam Hauser. He's still young. He's on a team-friendly contract. He's an impactful player. He can shoot the ball from 3. But since it's a situation that you're in, you might as well just get something for Hauser. And I don't think they're going to trade Derek White. That guy's too good of a player. Obviously, recently gave him a big extension. Jaylen Brown recently got a huge deal. He's not going anywhere. He's not going anywhere. Drew Hollis, the one where I think he might get traded. He recently signed an extension. He's due $32.4 million next year, $34.8 the year after, and a $37.2 million player option in 2028. He is also 34 years old. From the Boston Celtics, is like, all right, we're in a cap crunch. We're not going to have Jason Tatum next year, most likely. I would say, see what Jaylen Brown can do as your number one option. He's never really had the opportunity to be number one. Look, he's the best number two in the league to me. I think he fits that role perfectly. I would not put him in a situation like full-time as number one option. However, see what you have of him as number one option. And then, if it goes really poorly, you can decide whether or not you put him back with Tatum in 2027, or if maybe you want to trade him. You probably get a lot for him in 2 years. And if it works out great, then I would think you would want to keep him. Either way, you probably put him back as number two anyway. But and also, you still don't have Brown. You're still gonna have Derek White. I'm assuming Al Horford comes back. I think Peyton Pritchard will take an elevated role next year. He had a really good season. A lot of these role guys I actually like. I like Schreierman, so I think they should trade houses. I think he's the same player. I don't think Xavier Tillman's a horrible backup big. Luke Cornett, say what you want. I don't think he's that bad of a player. I think he's a solid second or third big. If he comes back. Jordan Walsh is a young kid that you drafted a year or two ago, who obviously hasn't played a whole lot the last 2 years, but still 20 years old. I know everyone kind of pokes fun at his bald head, but he has the ability in college that he could be a pretty good player. So if you move Holiday, maybe get yourself. I don't hate you doing a swap for Holiday for Jalen Green. You tell him you give us Green in the draft pick. The Rockets get a veteran guard who's a great defender, can shoot a little bit, and is a two-time NBA champion. To me, future Hall of Famer. And the Celtics get a young guard who's really talented. Maybe with a change of screen, he can take the next step that he hasn't taken yet. And then maybe for Porzingis and House, you can get back a young role player or two and get back some draft picks and get some salary relief, and you can go from there. You already won a championship. And if you do that, again, you still have Jaylen Brown, you still have Derek White. I think Al Horford's going to come back. Peyton Pritchard's a guy who's only 27 years old. I think some of the role players, if they were Schreierman, Xavier Tillman, I think they're guys who could take a step up next year. And all of a sudden, you realize this is still a really good team. And when you get Jason Tatum back the following season, you still could be in good shape. So I do think there will be moves made. Fight to get it's going to be, I think Porzingis, Sam Hauser, and Drew Holiday will be shopped. I can see all three of them getting moved. To finish off, I'm going to go over my top 32 NFL quarterbacks for this upcoming NFL season. Gonna have some more NFL content coming your way. Probably going to do my predictions for the divisions. I'm not sure if I'll do them all now. I may wait till camp gets started a little bit, but there will be little by little some NFL content. I'll probably do my top 10 running backs and receivers, stuff like that, and do some things like that. And as we get a little closer to the season, when training camp gets started, we inch closer to preseason, is when I'll really get into my season predictions. You never know. A guy could get seriously hurt in training camp, and that could alter what a prediction for the season. So I might wait a little bit on true predictions, but stuff like this I will be doing somewhat regularly over the next few weeks and months. But let's get started. Just gonna start from 32. At 32, I have Cam Ward. He's a rookie. We haven't seen him yet. He's gonna obviously start week 1. I think. I don't know. Will Levis, I've heard, is still getting some reps in first team reps in practice, but it's just OTAs. They drafted Cam Ward number 1 overall. Obviously, they believe in him. I'm not super sold on him. I don't like the situation now. The run game's pretty good, but the offensive line isn't great. Not sold on Brian Callahan. The only weapon that we have to me is Calvin Ridley. I'm not sure how good the defense is. It's not bad, but it's not great either. So I'm at 32. We just haven't seen him yet. At 31, I have Anthony Richardson. I'm not going to lie. I thought of putting Cam Ward ahead of Anthony Richardson. He's been so bad. I don't see him getting any better, at least not in Indianapolis. He is still really young, but the guy is extremely inaccurate. He can throw the ball as farther than a lot of quarterbacks. I've seen this on social media before. It said Anthony Richardson can make a throw, can make throws that 95% of quarterbacks can't. He also can't make throws that 95% of quarterbacks can't. It doesn't make any sense, but it's true with him. He has not worked out the way the Colts obviously wanted. That's what they're asking for overall. Like I said, he's the most inaccurate quarterback in NFL history to this point. Yeah, he's been very, very bad. Has not shown any leadership qualities. Tapping out of a game, like what? This guy's an NFL quarterback, really? So this guy is just straight awful, and he's a 31. I know he's in a can't battle with the next guy, Daniel Jones, who somehow might be a starter again in Indianapolis. They gave him $11 million this year. I mean, I think we all could see the writing on the wall. I think the only person that ever thought this guy had a chance of being good was Dave Gettleman, John Mara, and maybe Joe Shane. Obviously from the Giants. The guy isn't good. He just doesn't have much of an arm. He's a turnover machine. I don't think he's a bad guy. I don't see that guy where he's a true leader. Not again when him and that like weird looking face walks in the room. He's not exactly making guys' ears perk up, and he's terrible. That Colts quarterback room is beyond bad. Doesn't help. They also drafted a Robbie Leonard late in the draft, who's also horrible. So, but Daniel Jones is at 30. Number 29 is J.J. McCarthy. Now, I wanted to put him a lot higher. However, we have not seen him yet, so I pumped the brakes a little bit. I think McCarthy could be a solid quarterback. I think he will be a solid quarterback. I love him in that offense. I think he fits really well. I think he's got all the right pieces there to succeed in Minnesota. But we haven't seen him yet. He's coming off a major injury. I'm going to pump the brakes. I have him at 29. I expect him to be a lot higher by at least midseason. But he's at 29. Number 28, I have Michael Penix. Again, he's only played a couple of games last year after being a first-round pick. That's kind of a weird situation. With Kirk Cousins getting signed, he's still there. Yeah, he hasn't been traded or cut yet. The money obviously is an issue. He wasn't the OTAs to start, so it's kind of a weird situation. I don't hate the pieces that he has there. I like him in Zach Robinson's offense with Bijan, Drake London, and even Kyle Pitts. I hate the weapons he has, but just Raheem Morris is also a terrible head coach, and just Kirk Cousins still kind of lurking. What's going to happen with him? Is he going to be on the roster week 1? Is he not? I don't think he will, but we'll see what happens. And again, Penix, I like the talent on the kid, but again, the situation I think at times could be better. And just obviously health was a concern. There was a concern from coming out. How will that hold up? That line overall is pretty good. You also lose an All-Pro center in Dolman. He signs with the Chicago Bears, so that's going to be a loss for sure. But I am at 28. At 27, I have Joe Flacco. I mean, Flacco, obviously, the Super Bowl MVP guy, is been gone for many years. He's obviously at the very end of his career. Really isn't a star at this point and has been in a while. But Cleveland's quarterback room is really bad. You have two rookies, Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders, who I don't think either of them are going to be very good. Shedeur, forget it. Gabriel, if he got drafted to a better situation, I would have thought maybe he could do something serviceable. In Cleveland, just kiss that goodbye. And obviously, forget it with Kenny Pickett. No, I'm not even going to mention Deshaun Watson. He's not even playing this year anyway with the torn Achilles. But Flacco should win the job week 1. I don't think he will start that many games for them. I have a feeling once they fall out, which will be rather quickly, we will see Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders hit the field. But I think Joe Flacco is a starter right now. I think he's the 27th best quarterback right now. Quarterback play has really fallen off over the last 5 or so years. I mean, good God. Mason Rudolph is at 26. Again, should not be starting. But the Pittsburgh Steelers are kind of in limbo. Obviously, you lose Russell Wilson and Justin Fields in free agency. And you're trying to sign Aaron Rodgers. That is taking forever. Not sure what's going on with that. Now I hear they're looking at Kirk Cousins. Probably because they're getting worried that Aaron Rodgers is going to sign. It only took them till OTAs to realize that for some reason. But Rudolph, look, I get it. He knows he was with Pittsburgh his whole career besides last year when he was in Tennessee. So he knows the staff. He knows the organization. He knows one of the players. But he's not a starting quarterback in this league. If they roll with him week 1, I would be surprised if Will Howard is a starting quarterback by like midseason. They drafted him a 6th round of Ohio State. I don't even think he's that good, to be honest. So I'm not sure if he'll be the starter week 1. If they sign Aaron Rodgers, if they trade for Kirk Cousins, that guy would obviously start. However, I probably wouldn't. I'd have Rodgers or Kirk probably around the same spot. Both those guys were once obviously very good. Aaron Rodgers obviously was once best quarterback in the league. Kirk Cousins was once a legit starting quarterback. Not that long ago. Both guys are pretty much washed. Don't have a whole lot left. 25, I have Justin Fields. Look, obviously he's on my Jets. He's a great athlete. He's tough to game plan for. He simply isn't a great passer. It's simple as that. He's gotten slightly better every year, but hasn't made enough strides to a guy who was a first-round pick. What you want out of a first-round pick. I don't expect him to get all that better. And again, I don't know how much better, in total, the quarterback play is going to be from last year with Aaron Rodgers. You have a guy who's a much better athlete, a lot more mobile, much better more athletic. Is tougher to game plan for, is a little easier to deal with and coach up in Justin Fields. He seems like he has been working hard in the offseason so far at OTAs. However, at least Rodgers, to an extent, could sling it still a little bit. Fields really can't do that, so it's going to be kind of a net mute point there. So, I don't expect a whole lot of him. I don't see him getting much better as a passer at this point, but at least he's tough to game plan for. Number 24 is Bryce Young. Last year I had him, I think, 32nd or 31st, something like that. Overall, he has not been good for first overall pick, though. Second half of last year, after returning to a starting lineup, after being benched for Andy Dalton, he did play a lot better, played pretty well down the stretch. Had some really good games. If he could continue with that, Parents may have something in him. He may be able to take a legit step forward, but this is year 3 for him. If he doesn't take that legit step forward, we gotta have to start having conversations of maybe they missed on the pick. And he was a little better last year. I'm not sold personally. I was never really sold on him. I never thought he was that good coming out. Anyway, but he made a lot of strides last year. However, still not sold. He's at 24. At 23, I have Caleb Williams. If you've watched the show for the last probably year, for more than probably 5 minutes during NFL draft season or football season, I am not high on this kid. I think he's a disaster when it comes to a leadership standpoint. And the on-field stuff, I don't think it's as impressive as other people say. But his numbers don't look bad by any means for a rookie. However, I think we're kind of glossing over the situation. People say he was really, really bad. All I heard when he got drafted, this is the best situation ever for a first pick. And then all of a sudden, by the end of the year, I was like, oh, it was a disastrous situation. I get the coaching wasn't good. The play calling wasn't good. But the offensive line was not that bad. The guy holds on to the ball for too long. The guy's a good athlete, and he won't scramble. I don't understand. I don't think he's that good. There's a report coming out that said they want him to work on his body language and his processing, because it was as bad as it could possibly be last year. I told the Bears, don't do this over and over again, and they still did it. However, there's a lot of bad quarterbacks in the league. He's at 23. He's got the potential to possibly go a lot higher. However, I don't see it. 22, I have Russell Wilson. He's not a giant starting quarterback. I'm not sure how long he'll start. Alfie Jackson is lurking and draft him in the first round. I don't think he's ready. I would start probably pretty much the whole season. Maybe at the very end, you throw Dart in there if you're out of the playoffs. You're out of contention. But Russ, I don't think he really has anything left. He's at the very end of his career. He's at best a serviceable starter. And he's got probably even worse off the line than he had in Pittsburgh last year. He's got probably even worse weapons. The defense is probably just as good. Their defense was very good last year in Pittsburgh. I think the Giants' defense will be really good. The coaching, as much as I nick Mike Tomlin, Brian Daboll as a head coach, I think, is worse than Mike Tomlin. So I don't expect much out of Russell Wilson. I don't really think that guy has a whole lot left. At 21, I have Drake May. Now, I normally wouldn't put a second-year quarterback who won, 2 or 3 games in his first year, 21st. I was going to put him a little lower, but I thought about it. He truly did show a lot of flashes and played well. He was in a really bad situation. He had a really bad coach. He had a terrible offensive line. He had terrible weapons. A defense wasn't getting a lot of stops. It was kind of a dysfunctional situation. And he played really, really well. I know his numbers look worse than Caleb, but he truly had a better season than Caleb Williams. I ranked him higher than Caleb coming out. I do think Drake May is going to be a really good quarterback in this league for a long time. Obviously, we still need to take a true step forward. We'll see what happens. The offensive line should be a lot better this year. You add Stephon Diggs in their receiving core. The team overall does look much better. So, I'm still not sure if we'll take that big step forward after Stephon Diggs, who I have concerns with because of age and coming off an injury. What kind of receiver is he? And, so I'm not sure how big of a step he'll take this year, but he should take a decent step forward if he truly is the quarterback that people are saying that he is. At 20, I have Bo Nix. Look, if Bo, Nix, and Drake May situations were swapped, if May was in Denver and Nix was in New England, the numbers would probably be the same. Nix would probably I did that wrong. Nix would probably have May's stat line and vice versa. However, that's not the case. I hear a lot of people saying Bo Nix is Mac Jones, and they do kind of see it. It's kind of hard to get by, to be honest, but he played well last year. I think he fits into Sean Payton's offense very well. For now, he's 20th. Obviously, now you add Evan Engram. You Archie Hardware, I think, is the best. I think is at least better than what you had last year at the running back spot. The O-line's only going to be getting better. It's time for to take a step forward. If he doesn't do it, obviously we can have that conversation. Until then, I have a lot of hope for him. But obviously, it's only one season. He was up and down a little bit. He's at 20th. At 95, Sam Darnold. I'm very happy for Sam as a Jet fan that he got out of two horrible situations, the Jets and the Carolina Panthers. And had a good year in Minnesota last year. However, I wanted to put him higher, but only 1 year. He was very bad for his whole career until last year. However, yes, he crumbled in the two biggest games in the battle for the 1 seed against Detroit in Week 18 and the playoff game against the Rams. However, he overall had a very good season, threw for over 4,500 yards, over 30 touchdowns, was a Pro Bowler. He had a great season, breakout year for him. He proved at the very least, if he can do that again, he'll at the very least be a average starting quarterback for probably the next 7, 8, 10 years. Obviously, Seattle gave him a pretty big contract on a 3-year deal. Try to see what he does. For now, he's at 19. At 18, I have Tua. Not Tua fan. If you watch the show, you should know that. He's very, very mediocre. He's overrated. Not a great arm. He's very accurate, but not a great arm. He's obviously very injury prone. He's not able to elevate his team. Relies on his weapons a lot. And I just can't trust him. One, in big games. I can't trust him in cold weather. I can't trust him in the postseason. I can't even trust him to stay healthy. And that he is still always going to be one hit away from his career being over. So I can't put him much higher than about league average. 17, I have Kyler Murray. Not gonna lie, I wanted to put him a lot lower. I do not like this guy. I never thought he was a good leader. His arm strength has not translated to the pros. He's not that accurate. He's not a great decision maker. I don't think Kyler Murray is that good of a quarterback. However, he is a great athlete. Similar to Justin Fields, hard to game blood for. He's a much better passer than Justin Fields, obviously, but I don't think he's like a great passer either. He has not won a playoff game yet. He's extremely overpaid. He's overhyped. To me, he's a bust. However, he's still on that big contract. He is still young. For now, I'll put him at 17. Again, the quarterback play has really fallen off in the last 5 to 7 years. 16th is Trevor Lawrence. Last 2 years, he missed a lot of time with injuries, and he has not lived up being number 1 overall pick. Jacksonville could have also done a better job to an extent. Obviously, they've keep putting him in new systems, which never works. And but now he's got 2 really good young receivers in Brian Thomas and Travis Hunter. He's got a slew of running backs over there. He's got I'm not sold on Liam Cohen as a coach, but he's an offensive mind. He seems to knows what he's doing as a coordinator. See what he knows what he's doing as a head coach. For now, I think he's about league average. 15 is Geno Smith. Another guy he gets out of the depths of the New York Jets and has become a decent starter in Seattle the last few years. He's now with the Raiders, obviously, didn't make a trade. Reunite him with Pete Carroll in the Raiders. Look, he's not elite by any means, but he's been much better than he was with the Jets. He's a decent starter. He's a 15 at 14.5. Dak Prescott. Not a Dak fan by any means. I think he's overrated. Very overpaid. That contract is probably the worst in the NFL. $300 million for this guy, really. But again, quarterback play isn't that good. He's good enough to win you 9-10 games, get you to the playoffs, but once the playoff starts, you can't trust the guy. Obviously, coming off the torn hamstring last year, but I'll put him at 14. At 13, I have Brock Purdy. Look, that contract is terrible. However, I give him a little more credit than other people do. He didn't have a great year last year. He also had a bunch of injuries. Didn't have McCaffrey the whole year. Debo and Kittle were nicked up. He didn't have Ayuk the whole year, for the most part. Ricky Pierce was a guy that they may make an impact. Didn't have him for a bunch of the year. So I think I get Deebo Samuel is now in Washington, and he doesn't have much of a line. That's how Trent Williams, who we don't know is going to stay healthy. But if McCaffrey's healthy and Ayuk is healthy and Pearsall Kill is healthy, I think he still has some nice pieces, at least for this year. And when he's got healthy weapons, I think this guy can be a good quarterback, one of the better ones. Again, he's relying on his weapons a lot, but with the right weapons, he's a good quarterback. He's been in the Super Bowl before. He's still young. I do think this guy is a good quarterback. He's a great story. Just obviously, I get it. He's not elite. People treat him like he's elite. It's a little annoying, but I do think he's a solid quarterback. And when it comes to like, there's a slew of freaking like game managers in the league. A lot of people think he's kind of like towards the back end of those guys. I think he's more towards the front end personally. Not saying he deserves that contract. That contract is still ridiculous, but I do think he's a good quarterback. At 12, I have TJ Stroud. I didn't want to put him this low, considering how great he was as a rookie, but he did struggle a lot last year. I don't think it's all on him. He had a lot of injuries on his offense. That line last year was really, really bad. It doesn't look much better this year. And I get the weapons you already got worse, but I still think this guy is an elite talent. He's only a year removed from one of the greatest rookie seasons in NFL history from the quarterback spot. I still think this guy's going to be really good. But for now, he did regress last year. I'll put him at 12. At 11, I have Jordan Love. Now, I've never been a fan of this guy. I do think he's a little bit overrated, but he's a very good quarterback. That first year, the reason they've kind of harped on that first year, the first half of that year, he was not good, though he finished really strong in his rookie year. Last year, overall, a good season. Turnovers were a problem throughout the year, although quieted them a bit in the second half. He overall had a good season. He's a good quarterback. Again, I think they paid him a little too prematurely. But Jordan Love is a very good quarterback. I have him at 11. Top 10. Number 10, I have Baker Mayfield. Now, look, Baker Mayfield is not elite. Sometimes it's put into the conversation. He's not. Though I'm very impressed with what he's done. He went from one of the biggest busts in NFL history, number 1 overall pick, classless prick in Cleveland, to a guy who's one of the true leaders of this game, one of the better people in the game, and has turned into a very good quarterback as well over the last 2 years in Tampa. Again, not elite, won't win a Super Bowl, but he can get you to the playoffs. And when it comes to the game managers, there's a lot of them outside of the first 6 or 7 names on this list. Pretty much everyone the argument falls into that category in today's NFL. He's one of the best ones of that category, I would say. So I have him at 10. At 9, I have Matthew Stafford. I think Stafford's still a really good quarterback. I get he's much older. He's at the very end of his career. He restructured his deal for 2 years. I don't see him playing much more beyond that. But he has a Super Bowl ring. He still has that arm strength. He's got good weapons still. I think he's still a very good quarterback. I have at 9. At 8, I have Jared Goff. Look, he hasn't always come up big in a lot of big games. His playoff resume isn't great, or not resume, but his stats in the playoffs are not great, but he's turned himself into a very good quarterback. He fits well in this Detroit system. Obviously, new coordinator coming in with Ben Johnson leaving to be the head coach in Chicago. The pass game coordinator becomes the offensive coordinator with the Jets because Aaron Glenn takes him with him. So I'm not sure how he responds to a new system. He's a very fit-wise quarterback. However, to this point, he's turned himself into a very good quarterback. Can he win the Super Bowl? I'm not sure, but he's at very least one of the better quarterbacks in the league. I have him at 8. At 7, I have Justin Herbert. Okay, so Herbert has not done the postseason. He was very bad in that playoff game against Houston this past season. He has not won a playoff game. He has not done in some big moments. I think this guy is an elite level talent. I think this guy is a great quarterback. I've seen him in some big games get the job done in the regular season. We all remember that crazy game a couple years ago against the Raiders. I truly think they're just not surrounding him with the right pieces. They finally got him a legit coach in Jim Harbaugh. I still think they need another weapon, and I'm not sure how good. The running game should be very good again. With even better, honestly, than that you draft Marion Hampton. I would take on Marion Hampton over Najee Harris over J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards, especially since those guys don't have the health problems those two Dobbins and Edwards did last year. I love that line. The defenses should be just as good. I think this guy is really good. However, I can't put him in that upper echelon enough quarterbacks because he has not done the postseason yet. Not all his fault, but still hasn't happened. A lot of people think he's overrated. I wouldn't say necessarily he's overrated. However, if you're putting him like in that category with Joe Burrow, with Pat Mahomes, that's not right. At least not right now. I do think he will get there. Personally, I may be in the minority on that. I'm not sure. I feel like I might be at times. But I do think he will get there. But for now, he's not quite there. I'll put him at 7. At 6, I have Jaden Daniels. I mean, he's got more playoff wins than Herbert in 1 year. And Herbert's been playing for 5 years. So that's how I have him at 6. I do think he's an elite level quarterback. He's going to be a superstar, it looks like. He was absolutely amazing his rookie year. Keep in mind, outside of Terry McLaurin, there wasn't really a true weapon on that team last year. There was a lot of concern with the offensive line and the defense, even the coaching. But he really elevated that team, I thought. He had an incredible year. How many fourth quarter comebacks did that guy have? He's the full package. Again, he only played 1 season. Now you see, the expectations are on. You add Deebo Samuel. What is this going to look like? We shall find out. But Jaden Daniels, I think, is an elite level quarterback right now. Not quite on like the Burrow, Mahomes, and Lamar and Allen tier, but he's very, very close. And we'll see what happens in his second year. We've seen sophomore slumps in the past. Like I see their Stroud last year, but I'm playing Jaden Daniels at 6. I have 5. I have Jalen Hurts. Okay, so from a talent perspective, Hurts should be a lot lower. I'm not going to lie. He is not an elite quarterback in terms of talent. However, in terms of production, he's in that category. That's not all on him. The roster he has is absolutely amazing. Pretty much any legitimately okay quarterback could do what he does in that offense, probably. However, he's a great leader, and the guy just wins. He finds ways to win, okay? He doesn't have a great arm. He's got a good arm, not a great arm. He's not the best decision maker in the world. He's a good athlete, but not a great athlete. However, he's very accurate with the ball. 2 years ago, I thought he obviously had some aggression. I thought struggled a lot in the first half of the year last year. However, back half of the year, I thought played really well. He was very good in the playoffs. He did what he needed to do. He understands his role. Again, is he, winning the Super Bowl without A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, Dallas Goedert, Saquon Barkley? No. But he does what he needs to do. The guy's a winner. He's a great leader. He's kind of a lot of things I want out of the quarterback position. So, not a huge fan of Hurts. Sure, I'm not a Philadelphia fan, but the guy's a winner. He belongs at number 5. Like, I cannot... Look, Jaden Daniels is a more talented quarterback than Hurts. If I'm starting a franchise, I'm probably picking Jaden Daniels over Jalen Hurts. He was just, but like Hurts just beat him in the NFC title game, and he's only, he's only played 1 season. Hurts been in the league for a few more years. He's been 2 Super Bowls, has a ring. I simply cannot put Jalen Hurts below Jaden Daniels. And for people saying like Baker Mayfield's ahead of him, like stop it. I get from a talent perspective, they're not that far off, but just from what we've got, what they produce on the field, you've got to give it to Jalen Hurts. I get situations and things like that, but you got to give it to Jalen Hurts. Number 4 is Lamar Jackson. Lamar's an incredible player, very talented. He's maybe the best athlete we've seen from the quarterback spot ever. And but in the regular season, he's arguably the league's best. However, he has not done that in the postseason. He has not been good in the playoffs. I do think there's a possibility that he could turn that around. This is why he's 6 or 7 year in the league, but to this point, he hasn't gotten it done, so he's at 4. Number 3 is Joe Burrow. So obviously, he didn't get to the playoff last year, but that wasn't really all on him. He's an amazing quarterback. He had an amazing year last year. He was an MVP candidate. The guy's amazing. In big games, outside Mahomes, I'm taking Joe Burrow. So the guy's a stud. Putting him at 3 because he hasn't, obviously hasn't won a Super Bowl yet. He was in one, but obviously didn't quite get it done. But the guy's a dog. At 2, I have Pat Mahomes. Look, I know Mahomes gets a lot of nicks because it's like he's using like black magic or something, and the officiating. I get them without the officiating, but the guy's still an amazing quarterback, an amazing talent. He's got 3 Super Bowls. He's been to 5. I get the last 2 years his numbers haven't been as gaudy. And, he loses him a Super Bowl this year, so I'm going to lower him down 1 at 2, which I hate doing because of who I hate doing. But at 1, I have Josh Allen. Mahomes to beat him in the playoff, but the year Allen had last year was absolutely incredible. He was MVP for a reason. I get it. He loses to Mahomes in the AFC Championship. However, Allen throughout his career has had some turnover problems, but quieted those last year for sure. Had the best season of his career. And honestly, if you look at his playoff numbers, yes, he's had a few times in the fourth quarter. Last drive, he hasn't gotten it done. Overall, he has been good in the postseason. He has. I will give him that. He's had 1 or 2 games where he could have been better. The second round game against the Bengals a couple of years ago, he didn't play very well. Again, against the Chiefs last year, that last drive, he not do enough. Although also Dalton Kincaid's got to catch that ball. And but Josh Allen, I do think is the best quarterback in football right now. Right now, could that change by week 6, week 8, by the end of next season? Absolutely. But right now, I think he is the best quarterback in football because what he did last year was just absolutely incredible. And he was very close in the AFC Championship to knocking off Patrick Mahomes, which is no easy feat. All right, that's all I got for you guys today. Until next time, so long. Have a great day.